Well, the Browns come out here on Monday Night Football at FirstEnergy Stadium, and they shock a lot of people. They're not just beating the Bengals, but blowing out the Bengals. They had a 25-0 lead at one point. They win 32-13. Mary Kay, we have to start with the person who showed up dressed up as Vecna from Stranger Things, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it was sort of the theme of the whole week. And, the thought of coming in here and dominating the Bengals the way they did, well, stranger things have happened, right? Myles Garrett set the tone by setting up his yard the way that he did with Stranger Things and with having Joe Burrow in the clutches of Vecna, the shadow monster. Then he comes in with the costume, and he just carried the theme all the way through, set the tone, and the big plays that he made in the game were contagious for everyone.
And Ashley, Myles kind of admitted after the game, like, if you're going to do that stuff, if you're going to show up in that Vecna costume, you better play well.
Yeah, and I think maybe he learned a little bit from last year. Folks may remember he showed up in like a Grim Reaper kind of costume when they played the Steelers here. That was a loss. He didn't even bring a change of clothes, so had to wear the costume to his post-game press conference. So yeah, I think we kind of learned a lesson from that 2021 season there, and his play definitely, I think, lived up to that costume, to the villain on the show. And I don't even think the stats tell the whole story, just of how disruptive he was to this Bengals offense, and he threw them off their game from the first drive.
And Mary Kay, another player who really showed up today, Jacoby Brissett, especially that connection with Amari Cooper. Those two hit on a number of big plays, including a touchdown pass on a fade, and kind of the exclamation point on the night offensively, that 50-plus yard throw to Amari Cooper in the fourth quarter. This was an excellent Jacoby Brissett performance.
It really was. I mean, he threw for 278 yards. As you mentioned, he connected so well with Amari Cooper, who had 131 yards, the touchdown that you mentioned, the 53-yard catch, which was a really nice throw. Again, it was a depleted secondary, but they took advantage of it, and that's what you have to do. So, yeah, it was a great performance by Jacoby. He talked about his rushing touchdown coming out of the locker room in the third quarter, and how that he had that interception at the end of the Chargers game running through his mind, and he was going to atone for that. That's why he scored that touchdown. So really nice game by Jacoby.
And the Browns needed this, Ashley. They needed that passing game to get going against this banged-up secondary.
Yeah, and they just needed a win in some way, right? So it was great to see for them everything kind of come together. It wasn't just one part of the offense or one part of the defense clicking. They really played a complementary game, and I think that's why there's almost this like sense of relief that they get to go into the bye now, not on a 5-game losing streak like was very much a possibility, and get to enter this week off now with a win and can kind of figure out a way to maintain that going into the second half of the season.
And Mary Kay, I think that's the big takeaway from this game, is if you would have been 2-6, having lost to the Bengals, you'd have two other teams in the division who were 5-3. This thing would have been just about over halfway through the season. Instead, there's still some life for this team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, really, you could have stuck a fork in them had they lost this game. This victory breathed new life into them. It's not going to be easy because of, for all of the obvious reasons. But now they have a chance. We're saying there's a chance. I mean, a team like the Bucs are struggling. If they can hand 4 victories over to Deshaun Watson, they can remain in the playoff conversation. And right now, it's looking a lot better.
All right, Browns 32-13 winners here at FirstEnergy Stadium. We will have full coverage of everything that happened at cleveland.com/Browns.